All right, guys. So I told you that this would be coming. I wanted to have a chance to create some kind of more clear pathway for those of you who have already started kind of tinkering with your local history part two. So this is just a really clear cut. If I was going to do this project, this is how Miss Lofi would do this project to try and make it as straightforward as I can. Obviously, if we were in class together, I'd be able to walk you through this process a little bit easier. But since we're not, this is what we got. So we're going to kind of just sink into this. We're going to talk just step by step. So the first step that all of you guys should do is listen to your interview again. And it's not just listening, you're actually going to be listening and pausing and taking notes and kind of figuring out all of the detail parts of, again, where this project is going to go. So the first thing that you should be listening for and jotting down are going to be interesting quotes. Remembering that one part of this overall project, it has a title page. And on that title page, you're going to be incorporating cool and interesting things that your interviewee said throughout the interview. So as you're listening, you should have your template open in front of you, and you can put all of this information on there. That's a document for you to be able to use, keep everything together. So as you find cool, interesting quotes, just type them in there, and you can pause your audio and just make sure you can go back and try and get what you might have missed. The other thing that you should be doing as you re-listen to your interview is picking the stories that you think are the most interesting or the coolest. Again, you should jot down. Again, use your template. It's a good place to keep track of things. Put down, when does this story start? So what question did you ask that got them into that story? And then when does it finish? Just jot those down so that you can easier go back to it once you get to the real transcription part of things. The third thing you'll do as you listen, so there'll be lots of starting and stopping here, is to keep track of the main events from your interviewee's life. What are the big things that they talked about? Not every detail, not every single question needs to show up in your summary, but the big things. And where did they grow up? What is their family like? Was there something particular that happened when they were in high school? Again, so on and so forth. Everyone's will be a little different, but if you keep track of it as you re-listen, it'll make the next step so much easier, because the next step is to type up your biography paragraph. So your biography paragraph is a summary of your interviewee's entire life from start to the present day. Again, I don't need every single detail, but it should give me a good understanding of who this person is and what they've lived through. Again, maybe highlighting specific events or whatever it might be. So like I said, summarize what their life was like. Again, beyond just they were born this year and this is where they lived, because that's more than you need there. Okay. Once you've got those two things settled, the next step is probably the most complex because it's a skill that you do not have and you are unfamiliar with. And the next step is to transcribe. So you chose your stories. And what you're looking for here is there's not a min or a max in how many stories you include. It'll depend on how much space it takes up. So before you even get to the idea of typing up the stories, you need to start with some contextualization. You'll see it's in the rubric. Before each story, you need to write like a sentence or two to give me an idea of when does this story happen into the person's life? What sorts of things do I need to know before I hear or read, in this instance, about that particular item? Then, once you've got your context set up, you'll get into the actual transcription. If you look at the template, you'll see that the way it'll work is that you'll basically write it out like a script. So you'll write your interviewee's name just once all the way through, and then you'll write your own name, and then you'll use initials going forward. So when your interviewee speaks, you'll put their initials, and then you're going to be writing every single word, including all of the sounds that happen in the audio verbatim. Okay, I have attached alongside this how to complete, again, PowerPoint and things, some nice and helpful resources to be able to best do this, including shorthand for how do you put a pause in there, how do you put stuttering, again, laughter, what that should look like. And then once you get the hang of it, it'll start to click. It just will take time because you'll have to listen to parts of your interview over time and time again. So this is really where the most of that information, or most of your time, will be spent in the next couple of weeks. The fourth step, again, is take a look at your overall, again, information that you've created, and make a title. And that's part of the rubric. It goes on that title page with the quotes that you chose. I'm looking for a title that is creative and gives an idea of who the interviewee is, without being just so boring with, this is my interview with blank. The final thing that you need to make sure is that everything is formatted well and you've got your source cited. It's a personal interview, so when you go to ezbib.com, you're looking for that section or that option. Again, you'll just type in the info from your label, and bing, bang, boom, it's done. Once you've got everything finished and you've double checked the rubric 20 million times, then you're going to turn it in to turnitin.com. You should already have an account from last year. If you don't, just make one. It takes like I don't know, like a minute, and enroll in the American Studies 2 class. You'll see that the information is included. You need the class ID, which is that string of numbers, and then the enrollment key. Copy and paste it exactly. It's necessary. When you're finished, whenever that is, you're turning it in by May 11th before 3 p.m. That's it. The turnitin.com will close. The Dropbox will no longer accept results after that 3 p.m. time. I'm going to keep checking in with you guys. I'm going to drop some examples your way at the beginning of next week so that you can kind of get some visual references. But again, you should start this process. I will also be checking officially for some kind of work done by the end of next week, or at least started. So keep that in mind as we get going here. Make sure you're emailing me with questions. Again, it's the best way to make sure that this doesn't get away from you.